somebody.
All right.
Paul recruited somebody to replace
So,
us.
looks like we already got a few changes to the agenda. I can read those. Anybody else?
What?
Penny?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Changes or additions to the
Not
agenda?
to my knowledge.
I just want to update everybody on some Maxwell stuff
All right.
and membership stuff. Commission members.
I might do just a quick, because I'll be presenting with Doug next week at CPC.
If it's before 8
project.
o'clock, you can do it. If
Okay,
it's not-
otherwise, well, the board should know that
Okay.
I'm in cahoots with historic
We know you're in cahoots.
for a piece of property.
Okay. Amy, anything else other than what's on the, so we're gonna try to hear Hadley Country Club early in the game so that Mr. Ornberger
Oh,
can
the
go home and
RDA.
not get yelled at. Seaside, 61 Seaside has been withdrawn. Zero Country Way will be continued. 780 First Parish Road will be continued. 115 Grove Street, the ANRAD, will be continued. 38 Inner Harbor Road will be continued. And rear Summer Street will be continued to October 8th. All the other
No, they're going to be continued to October 21st.
the note that I have here
I
is...
know that, but I was just told the 21st.
Okay.
Because there's not enough time.
Okay, so all of them are going to be continued to the 21st, and you can get more information later. Adding a CFC for 167 Jericho Road will be on the agenda tonight. Thank you. All right?
Okay, and
15 Grove, we have requested to the 8th.
I'm just telling you what I was just told.
Oh,
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
All right, well, when we get to it, we'll do that. So it won't be done till we have the piece anyways, Greg. Okay, so 61 Seaside Road, do I even have to do this if it's been withdrawn?
Yeah, well, can I just do the continuing, the 620, the one that's continued, the two that are continued? Make the motion.
Well, we have an order here. I mean, I'll go out of order if that's what you want to do, just like our meetings.
No, 661 already done.
Oh, he's wound up
20.
tonight.
Penny? Penny? Lighten up. It's okay.
Yes.
Zero Country Way. That's the next one. I'm
It's
not
going to be a
going.
fun meeting, I can tell.
You are.
What's that?
You're out of order. I'm in order.
Here we go. What do you want to do, Penny? You're the senior member here.
Oh, well, it's 6:20. I make a motion to continue Zero Country Way till October 21st at 6:20.
Second.
All in favor?
Ah,
You all set with that?
one more. No. I make a motion to continue 780 First Parish Road to 6:20 on October 21st.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now I'm done until 6:30.
Here we go. 61 Seaside Road has been withdrawn, so do we want
Is there a notice to read?
to,
Dear Mr. Chairman, we withdraw the application.
is that you, Paul?
Yes, I sent you an email. I copied the DEP, Greg DeCesar. We got confirmation from the DEP to...
I got it. So on behalf of the owners of subject property, we hereby notify the Commission and DEP that the owners are withdrawing the notice of intent application for the proposed shed on the subject property. Okay, thank you.
Check.
All right, well, since we're withdrawing all those, let's do 667 Hadley Road.
Hi, Bill Ornberger. I'm here with Sean Luzo, associate, and Paul Marabito. In a nutshell, there's an old asbestos line water pipe at Hadley that's, Paul, like 80-odd years old, and it actually broke last year. They did emergency repair, and so what the project Paul go over is basically to put a new water line in. And the water line not only benefits the club, but also the two properties that are on Treasure Island and behind there that are on there. And Paul will explain this. With an RDA is the first part. Go ahead, Paul, you can explain it. We're basically moving it further away from the marsh resource area.
This is the salt marsh in here. The existing parking lot is right up to this orange line you see, which is the edge of the salt marsh, and it continues around here, and then this is the edge of the salt marsh here. There's another section here, and the water main is following right along this line here, and it goes all the way up to the homes up here at the end of the road, which is on Treasure Island. The property line for the country club stops here, and the line continues. There's a fire hydrant in here. There's 5 or 6 homes in this area here. What we're proposing to do is to put the water main along the blue line, starting to go right across the fairway. It'll come up by the pro shop, it'll come up by the clubhouse, and then it's going to continue in this area here. It's likely they'll probably put it in the same trench as the old line, which is an asbestos pipe. But what they'll do is to remove the pipe and the old fillets in there, which is rock and it's coarse mill, and what they'll do is to replace it with steel and gravel and then attach the pavement back. So there was a breakdown in this area here, and it's a very old pipe. It's an asbestos pipe, which really needs to come out. So the work in this area here, this is the 100-foot buffer zone, and, from here up, everything's in the buffer zone, even up in this area here, so. There's a silt fence, or there's a silt sock that will go right along the edge of the salt marsh. It'll come around the wetland here, in this area here, and up in here as well. It's a fairly straightforward project, but it's something that's needed. The plan also has several details on it that comply with the town's Scituate water department requirements for the installation of a water. It'll be a 6-inch line, it'll be cast iron. It's fairly straightforward.
Yeah. Penny?
Is there any vegetation that needs to be replanted along there?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
No, everything's in a paved area.
Okay.
The only vegetation behind the fairway, which is fairway grass.
Yeah.
I
No,
bet
you're
they'll
not
put
gonna-
that back together okay.
I think so. I don't think they want blueberry bushes growing there. Okay.
I'm fine for now.
No, all set.
Jen?
No.
Amy?
It appears consistent with a negative finding.
So you said they're gonna do some siltation, erosion control along the driveway, Paul?
Yes.
I mean, that's the tight spot.
Yep.
Will they be repaving the driveway?
Well, at a minimum, the trench will be patched with the asphalt. The trench will be compacted, and we'll put the asphalt back and, replace what was salt cut out. I don't know if they're paving the whole parking lot.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily the parking lot, but that's a fairly narrow road that goes out to Treasure Island,
It
so
is.
Yeah,
they
it's
could
only 10
very
feet
well
wide, yeah.
wind up repaving the surface there, so we just want to make sure the erosion control stays in place for not only the water line, but obviously the paving and.
Until it's complete.
Yep.
Anybody in the audience? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion for -3.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
36 Bailey's Causeway.
I haven't seen these yet. These are the new.
You know what I didn't do? Took that out of line. I didn't read that RDA. It's going to be an after-the-fact reading.
Okay.
On September 30th, 2019, during the 6:15 meeting at Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will act on the request to Hadley Country Club for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaw to replace the existing water line and the existing roadway servicing the country club and various houses at the end of Treasure Island on a property located at 667 Hadley Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Craig.
For the record, my name is Gregory Morse. I'm a registered engineer with Morse Engineering, representing the property owner, Rich Baldwin, for a property located at 36 Bailey's Causeway. This is a continued notice of intent hearing. We had proposed to raise and then rebuild a new single-family home at the subject property. Earlier this summer, the commission had hired Sebacia Inc., Bob Gray, to go out and review the wetlands delineation. Our wetlands consultant was Brad Holmes on the project. I believe Sebacia was in agreement at our last meeting with the wetland delineation. Yes. Since the last time I met with this commission, we have taken the plan to the Board of Health, and we have secured Board of Health approval of the septic systems associated with number 36 and then 36R behind it as well. I can re-familiarize you with the plan. If you look at the plan, Bailey's Causeway is at the bottom of the page. The property line here is shown in black. The wetland here is bordering vegetated wetland in blue associated with a salt marsh. The entire property is also located in a zone AE at elevation 16 floodplain. It's developed with a single-family home located right here on the site. Our proposal was to raise that house and construct a new one, generally in the same location, central on the lot. On the eastern side of the existing house is an existing gravel driveway. We would be removing that gravel driveway and moving it to the opposite side of the property, to the western side, replacing it with a gravel driveway over here. The existing house is serviced with a septic system, a cesspool, immediately behind the house. We're providing a new septic system over here along the western lot line. The house foundation itself is elevated up on piles. It does comply with the FEMA requirements, obviously, for allowing free flow of water as well as habitable space above the floodplain. Turn it over to you.
Penny, thoughts on this one?
No, I think I know what I was waiting for was the Board of Health because of, let's face it, that's an area that will get flooded no matter what, even on a high tide. And so that was my concern, and you have it, so I think I'm all set. Richard?
You may have told us the first time, Greg, where the driveway is now, what's going to be put in there?
Sure. Brad Holmes, our wetland consultant, put together a planting plan. It encompasses 2,280 square feet of plantings. We had submitted a plan on 11 by 17. What's that?
That's what I was looking for.
What's the date on that plan, Greg?
It's undated. It's just called a planting plan. It has a total of 26 plantings on it in that area that's highlighted in green, which is the existing driveway and then immediately adjacent to the houses.
You need a copy of that, right, Amy?
No, I
You
have
should
a
have
copy
that.
of it, but
okay.
I just didn't.
Oh,
Yeah, it didn't have.
It didn't have a
Okay.
date on it, so I guess we'll just date it the date we stamped it in.
Okay. That's
and the second thing, and I'm sure I've got this right, you're putting the new driveway directly over the new septic system,
correct.
and it's gravel.
Correct.
Okay, I know, I'm just saying what you said, I just want to make sure I have it right. Okay, I'm fine.
Lisa?
No, Rich asked the question, I was interested. I'm good.
Okay. Jen?
Two things. So, and I don't know if I've just missed it, but one thing I know we talked a bit about this before, just how the impervious area is going down for the two houses. But if I don't know, it's maybe more of a question for the rest of the commission whether we how we feel about there being a larger square footage size house on the spot.
Craig, maybe you could go back to the plan, like the layout plan. I think that kind of the question goes around, the house is not, right now it's on concrete foundation and it's going to piers. And I think so why don't you kind of,
Sure. So, yeah, the house that's there now, at 36, is slightly smaller in size. The one at 36R is about half the size of what we are. But the new buildings are elevated, so the impervious area on the ground compared to what's there does go down significantly. But they are elevated buildings at this point. They are 7 to 8 feet above the ground surface.
so the area that you are considering for calculation for impervious is just the diameter of the footings?
Correct. And we had talked earlier about, we originally had fill grading off from the septic system down onto the site. We tried to limit the amount of fill on the site. We had added a retaining wall around the septic system so that the fill that we're bringing in is strictly associated with the leaching field and immediately around the leaching field area, as opposed to bringing fill in on the remainder of the site. This is classified as land subject to coastal storm flowage. There's no impervious lot coverage requirements within that zone. There's also no requirement in the zone for compensatory flood storage. But we tried to limit the amount of fill, and we tried to elevate the buildings above the floodplain, and come up with a footprint that's a modest size footprint for today's standards. That's what the zoning board had approved. It's the same bedroom count. It's a 2-bedroom house going up. It's a 2-bedroom house that's there now.
I know it's not part of our purview, but the reason for zoning, the zoning board was?
Sure. Because the lots are non-conforming lots with respect to one of them area, the other one with respect to frontage on the back lot.
Okay.
Could I just address, Jen, with my thought on that? Can I?
Well, did you get the things, why don't you finish up with your questions?
And I didn't remember where we landed on it, but if we had decided there needed to be like a swale on the right side next to that to account for the abutting property.
Yes. So yeah, on the right-hand side, the western lot line, we had originally graded that off. What we proposed now is we've proposed a retaining wall about 5 feet off of the lot line, and then between the retaining wall and the lot line would be a swale. We added a detail to it with a crushed stone trench in the bottom of the swale.
Okay.
So
yeah, sorry, I just
that was added to the plan. Yep.
I was looking at the picture, not the above picture.
Honey?
Okay. No, I just wanted to, the way I kind of look at it, Jen, is before you had foundations in the ground, even though the back house is enlarged, the ground underneath it is now open to accept runoff,
Right.
So that, doesn't really bother me personally, that the house is that much bigger, because it's like the size of a kitchen right now. It's really tiny. But,
I guess that's kind of the point, though.
Right.
well, yes and no. I mean, it was originally, they were summer cottages. Now, everything down there is becoming homes, year-round homes. But I don't, because you're not on a foundation, so now the water, when it runs off the house, it can go underneath the house, too.
Yeah,
Drainage.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
It's more just the, it's bigger.
Yeah, it is.
So just rationalizing that.
Yeah. No, I hear you, but everybody
else?
wants bigger.
Amy?
Well, so it looks like they've received the approvals that they needed from Board of Health. They gave us the planting plan. As far as Jen's comments about the the size of the structures, and I don't know, just thinking about the fact that a lot of the new builds these days to account for the roof runoff, we do request infiltrators. I mean, that could be one condition to reduce impact on the property. I mean, that's just throwing that out there. The elevation definitely, getting them up off the ground is good. It's going to definitely allow the storm flowage to flow. But you are adding that impervious roof area for sure. So I think we are in a position where we could probably close.
In the audience, anybody want to speak to this?
I did
Just for your name.
yes,
Yeah.
Janie Davidson from 34 Bailey's Causeway, next door. I had a question on the swale on the plan. How far back does the swale go to 36, beside 36R as well?
To the back of the back house.
Okay. And I think you addressed it about the fill. So on the east side, where the new plantings are going to be, in between the plantings and the house, will that be like dirt or grass? Or
It's grass for the
Grass.
most part. And then there's a split rail fence, and then there's plantings between the split rail fence and the salt marsh.
okay.
Yeah.
No, the driveway's now on the
Yeah, the driveway
west
comes
side.
out.
Right, but I'm talking about. And then in between the front house and the back house, trying to make out where you have the retaining wall that outlines that. So is the retaining wall that goes all the way around the systems, does that represent where the fill will be? That's the only location where there'll be extra fill on the property?
It's essentially inside of the retaining walls, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the in between, so like west of
This area in here, outside of the retaining walls.
the, right, that's right.
So that grade in there right now is at elevation 6. I have an elevation 7 contour in there. It's within a foot of where the grade is today.
Okay, and then in between the rear house, and is it just swale there? So you have the pilings
Along the
and
side,
then
we're not touching any of the grade beside that house, aside
Okay.
from providing a swale along the lot line.
okay.
We're not bringing any fill in on the
Okay.
back house.
So that when it does flood, then it will go under the houses. There won't be. You said there's no
Correct.
fill under the houses.
No.
Greg, can you explain the little, is this denoting the retaining wall, that sort of the circular connected, the chain?
Yes, that's that's a stone wall, essentially, a retaining wall.
And is there top of that wall, Mark? There's so many things on this plan, I'm having a hard
Yeah,
time.
The top of the wall should be noted on here. Top of it is approximately. All
Right in the
top,
corner,
10.5.
10.5.
10.5.
So what's the grade on either side? So I see 8 on Mrs. Davidson's property.
And on the opposite side, it's right about at elevation 7 is the grade on the opposite side.
So that retaining wall is going to be about 3 feet high on the easterly side and about 2 foot high.
High on Mrs. Davidson's side, correct.
Does that help?
It does. Thank you for reaching.
What's that made of, Greg? Is that,
Like a Versalock block. Split face concrete block.
okay, anybody else in the audience? So I guess the big thing for the commission, we've had a lot of discussion with Board of Health, and we didn't really get that involved with the zoning board, but obviously with our concerns for the wetlands and getting Sebacia out there and looking, trying to determine all these lines. There's been a lot of discussion about this property. One of the pieces we talked about with Sebacia is whether there should be a few openings in that berm on the easterly side. It's like a man-made berm to let that function more,
Yeah.
as opposed to that. Has that been proposed at all?
We're not proposing to change that. You're talking about the berm that's kind of it's interior of the salt marsh.
Yeah.
That was constructed, I think, back in the 80s, maybe, when they did something to the
Yeah, there's like
Causeway culverts.
a man-made berm, and there was like some flooding or something with the culverts, and so the owner got permission to create that berm to try to keep some of the,
Yeah.
like, seasonal water, knowing that it's not gonna keep a flood out, but it would keep some of the incidental water out because people were actually driving in there and using that. So when we talked with Bob Gray of Sebacia on site one time, you were there and Gamey was there, we talked about, like, how this would function more naturally, and then not necessarily removing the whole berm, but should there be some openings created as opposed to keeping it intact? And I don't know if you've had any thought or your client.
I mean, I've observed the berm. I mean, you do get some flooding in the parking area right now on a heavy rainfall event because it lands in the existing driveway. It can't drain out
Right.
appropriately. So yeah, having some openings might certainly help with that. As it is right now, we're not proposing any. And I know as well, the town is upgrading the culverts underneath Bailey's Causeway there too.
Right.
I don't
That can
think
go
they-
both ways. It can let more water in, but it will
So,
get more
I don't
water
think the
out.
applicant's opposed to creating some holes in the berm if that's what the
Right.
commission desires. I don't know if we'd want to wait until the culvert work's done and kind of monitor it. We could always come back to do that. But we could also.
We could
propose
also
it if you-
condition it.
You could condition it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
All right. And then, I guess the big issue here has been the expansion of the properties on what we consider a pretty marginal site. You have two sort of summer shacks. I know that they're considered them to be year-round houses, but they're pretty basic couple of dwellings, and now we're expanding those to some pretty much year-round homes on an area it's not the greatest for that type of thing. Granted, there's a lot of houses in Scituate that sit on similar locations, and we're certainly encouraging pilings and elevation and all that, and also feel like the septic system is a big plus over the cesspools that are there. Presently, it's just, anytime we get that much expansion in an area, you just say, geez, is this really what we want to see happen in some of these places? And I know that in order for people to make it work, in most cases, nothing shrinks. I haven't seen too many people come in here and say, geez, I want to take down my house and I'm going to build a smaller one. But it's a pretty aggressive expansion on the back house. I guess that's more of a statement than a, but it's a concern. I mean, the commission's looking at these all the time, and we're trying to look at places that are getting flooded more, sea level rise, all that sort of thing, and just seem to be to put houses in more vulnerable areas. It's a little frustrating sometimes, just weighing out the pluses. And
Yeah, I mean, I completely hear and understand your concern. Looking at, the aspects of this that I think the commission really is looking at. I mean, we've been to the Board of Health for really the septic piece of this thing. We've been to the zoning board for that aspect. Looking at the conservation aspects, I really look at flooding. What we're proposing here is going to comply with today's flood requirements as opposed to what was there does not. I look at the salt marsh that's out there. We have a driveway that's essentially at a 0-foot setback to it. And if we're going to make it better, we've moved the driveway now as far from that salt marsh as we possibly can. We've raised it up a little bit in elevation. That keeps the cars out of the water and those moon high tides when it does flood out. So I feel like we've done the best we can with the situation. Like you said, there's a house there. The property owner obviously has a right to upgrade their property. I feel that we're doing it in the best way to protect the interests that you're looking at.
Craig, just one more quick question. So looking at where the septic tank and these pump chambers are, they're all in an area that's going to flood. So I'm assuming that those, I see them, the tanks have the feet to keep them from hopefully
So they're-
popping out of the ground.
Yep, so they're extended base anti-flotation tanks. They're monolithically constructed. They have bolt-down watertight covers on the top of them. In this septic system, this is what we call a hoop septic system. It's actually a miniature wastewater treatment plant. It's not just your average septic system, so it does have that going for it as well.
So even when these go underwater,
It should be a watertight tank. And then the leaching field is above that water
Right.
elevation, except for during the 100-year storm.
right? I mean, in cases where we're elevating houses in V zones and other places, now people are actually putting the septic tanks up in the air. I'm not a big fan of that, certainly, but,
I've seen that in velocity zones, not in the AE zones yet.
right. But and these tanks are totally sealed, so that if that were flooded, we're not gonna wind up with sewage or effluent or anything in the marsh or anything like that.
No, completely watertight.
Okay. Don't know what else to add to that. I guess those are the pieces.
Long haul.
Anybody else?
I make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where are we?
I'll ask you later.
Need a
So-
motion to-
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion.
I have to open this, right, for 115 Grove. So on September 30th, 2019, at 6:30 PM, the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Henry Holmes for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, an ANRAD, on properties located at 115 Grove Street and 157 First Parish Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Frank,
Yeah.
is it 157 or 577?
Well, it
Oh,
kind
I'm
of-
sorry, 577. So who's here for that? Anybody?
There is a request to continue.
Okay. Do we have green cards?
I can drop them off tomorrow.
No green cards, okay.
Do we know how many properties are affected by that? Like, in terms of the neighbor, in terms of about a notification or?
17 or 18 abutters.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we're going to continue it, but I think we want to just be sure, it's a tricky spot, to make sure that everybody is properly notified on that.
I wonder about that because the DEP is not in receipt of the application either, so.
Going to the 21st, I thought. And there's material that they need to get in. And tomorrow's the
I'm
deadline.
saying, we haven't got anything back from DEP?
No, it's
No.
not even on the database.
And tomorrow's the deadline, Frank, for info on the next meeting, which is next Tuesday. And they have to get stuff in, so that's why we thought would go out to the 21st. And hopefully everybody will have everything in.
So if we don't have information, can we even proceed?
You don't even have the green cards.
Well, we've gone both ways with the green cards. We've
I
allowed
know.
people to, especially if we're not discussing it this evening, you've seen it happen where people will show up and say, I didn't get properly notified, and then everybody just starts all over again, which is a royal pain, not for the abutters, but it's also for us.
Yeah, I'm not aware that any abutters have been in asking about this one, so I don't know if they have been notified or not.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll open it, but I think it's important to look at the abutter notification as well. I mean, it's the part that people don't get when they get a thing for an ANRAD. It's just a wetlands delineation, and folks don't realize how critical that is to the rest of the process. You know, they don't see a building, or they don't see a plan, or anything like that. So they really don't know what's going on. You know, someone gets a notice, and they say someone wants to build a house next to me, they get that. But a wetlands delineation is like, well, what does that mean? I guess I'd be concerned that this got properly advertised or notification.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Lisa Talbot, I'm at 581 First Parish Road.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get any notification about this at all,
And you're at 581?
which is right next door.
Yeah, 577, 581. To the 21st.
Yeah, that's,
What's the problem is?
it's something we can clear up,
Okay.
but I think you're right. Do we open it and then just immediately continue it until these issues are resolved?
Right.
Or do we not open it?
I mean,
and then have them
This is a fluky thing, but we
re-advertise?
wound up with a meeting 1 week out, so there's not much time to make any corrections. You know, it just wound up being a flip in our meetings. So to just continue this for 8 days
It's not going to work.
doesn't seem that like a great idea to me. On the other hand, if this is like all botched, then we're just going to reject it. And
Well, we continue
Well, I
to
don't
the
think it's going to be
21st.
botched. I think we just need to resolve the notification. If Greg's going to bring in the abutter notification cards tomorrow, we can confirm that. But I mean, I guess until we see it, we won't know that.
okay,
I mean, if there was no abutter notification, we can just have them re-advertise it for the 21st. So this window gives them time, whether you continue it or, and then we discover that there's this glitch in
okay.
notification, it gives them time to resolve that, don't you think?
All right. You're representing the project?
Correct.
So if we move that to the 21st, seems pretty prudent to me. All right.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted to do, Penny?
That's what I wanted to do
Okay.
all along, but here we go.
Do it.
Can I do it now? I make a motion to continue ANRAD for 115 Grove Street, 577 First Parish Road to October 21st at 6:20.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 97 Booth Hill Road, septic repair. On September 30th, 2019, at 6:35 PM, the Town Hall Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, regarding the application of John Burns to repair a septic system on a dwelling located at 97 Booth Hill Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Gregory Morse with Morse Engineering, registered engineer representing the property owner, John Burns. This is a septic system repair project located at 97 Booth Hill Road. Looking at the plan, Booth Hill Road is at the bottom of the page here. Property line is shown in black. Zimmer, South River Environmental. They're in blue, it's a border vegetated wetlands, historic site in the back. You'll see the entire property is located inside the 100-foot buffer zone. The red here depicts the 50-foot buffer zone. The house is centrally located on the lot. What else can you do? This is a septic repair. The existing septic system is in the backyard. This is kind of a poorly vegetated lawn area in the back. All the plumbing is routed out there through the house. What we've proposed is to upgrade the septic system with a aerobic treatment tank, a hoop tank, a pump chamber, and then a drip disposal leaching field. It is entirely inside of the 50-foot buffer, but it is entirely within an area that was kind of lawn and landscape area. The setback at the closest point is 22.4 feet from the wetland to the soil absorption system. This area here would all be restored with loam and seed when it's done. There is a fence kind of at the back edge of the lawn. That fence would be left in place, which serves as a lot line or a buffer at the back of the site. We looked elsewhere on the property. There's an existing driveway at this location. In the front yard, there's some trees that are rather large in size, as well as the water service, electric service, and it's just an extremely tight lot. No, it's not very big. The Board of Health has reviewed this plan. I don't know that they've approved it yet.
They haven't.
What's that?
They have not.
Have not. They asked for one change on the plan, which was making a notification that a deed restriction would be required for the bedroom count. That was the only change that we made for the Board of Health. So I turn it over to you.
Penny?
It's just unfortunate, it is such a small lot, there's nowhere else to put it, even though there is an existing in the same spot. But they need a septic system, and a new one's better than the old.
Am I seeing it correctly, that basically you're using the same space that's currently used?
Correct.
Corner repair.
Okay. Lisa?
It's an improvement.
Jen?
Yeah, I wish it could be a little different, but unfortunately.
The front yard's so small.
Yeah, I wonder about that driveway spot a little bit, but I understand that.
That's not even that big.
Yeah, I'm familiar
It's
with.
really tight.
It's deceiving because I think it's a 10 scale plan. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it looks bigger than it is.
But if you,
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with the house.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh dear, there's nowhere else to put it. Which is
Jen?
unfortunate.
I mean, Amy? Sorry. I got Jen.
I agree with everything that y'all say. Yeah, so we don't have Board of Health approval, we do have a DEP number. The shed, there's a note that says that the fence in the shed will be relocated. I'm wondering if you have a preference on where the shed goes, or where maybe we could pick out a spot for it. I don't know.
The shed's right there.
I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I
No,
don't have
it
any
wasn't
comments.
necessary.
Anybody in the audience?
Where else to put it? Well, you could put it over here, I guess.
So we actually would have to continue this, but this could be to the 8th, am I correct?
Oh, well, when's Board of Health meeting?
I'm not so sure the Board of Health is meeting between now and next week, right?
This,
They are. I think it goes, they're meeting on the 16th, I
yeah, but
believe.
this doesn't need a Board of Health meeting.
It doesn't?
No, this is one that the director can sign off on. So it's not a property line variance.
Oh,
So,
that's good.
yeah,
So maybe it could be ready.
if we could try, that would be great.
Yeah, so just continue to the,
Yeah,
the 8th, that would be great, yeah.
yeah.
Do we have the abutter cards for this one?
Yes.
Can I continue it, Frank, or you
Yep,
want to?
no, go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion to
Did you have
continue.
the audience?
Oh, I'm sorry. Anybody? I think I did, but
Okay. I make a motion to continue 97 Booth Hill Road to Tuesday, October 8th at 6:20.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
38 Inner Harbor Road on September 30th, 2019 at 6:40 PM. The Town Hall, Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 4 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Jane Everest for a septic repair system on 38 Inner Harbor Road. Situate abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. So we're just going to open this and continue.
To the 8th?
I was asked for the 21st, but,
It
okay,
says the 21st.
yeah. Okay, I'm just checking.
Yep.
Since Frank got angry with me.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we continue, where is it? 38 Inner Harbor Road to October 21st at 6:20.
Second?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, there was an email here from Darren Grady requesting that for the
Okay,
21st.
yep.
Yep.
Okay. Ann Rad for 0 Summer Street. On September 30th, 2019, at 6:15 meeting in Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Sue Logan for determination of applicability of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. What have I got?
And red,
0 Summer, sorry. On September 30th, 2019, at 6:45 PM, the Town Hall Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of, is it Genevieve and George Davis, for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation and ANRAD on properties located at 0 Summer Street, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. And that one has a request to be continued to October 8th.
Let's put it on the 21st, because the review is not even gonna happen until the end, on Friday, so.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to continue the Red for 0 Summer Street until October 21st at 6:20.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
23 Bradford Ave.
Okay.
On September 30th, 2019, at 6:50 PM, the Town Hall Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Leonard Getz to raise and rebuild a single-family dwelling, relocate shed, and landscape at a location at 23 Bradford Ave, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. This all with Kevin, our consulting, here with Leonard Getz, here with his builder as well, Chris Pratt. So this is basically a raise and rebuild. There's
House.
2 resource areas here. This is about, is it 2 houses up to the seawall?
One house.
One house, before you get to the side street here, which is, I'm sorry,
Seaside.
Seaside, and then the seawall is over here. So we're basically a street and 2 houses removed from the seawall. Existing dwelling there now, non-flood compliant. We're going to tear that down, rebuild a new dwelling, basically in the same footprint, push back a little bit, removing a paved driveway along the eastern portion of the property. There's going to be a garage under on the portion of the house. There's going to be a proposed paved driveway in the front. We're also moving the existing shed, which is in the back, tucking a little bit closer to the house so that a deck can connect the 2 structures. Moving that away from the resource area, one of the resource areas, which is an off-site BBW located on town property to the northwest. There is a gravel drive that goes down the left-hand portion, just off property, to access the house in the back. So we're in the floodplain. We're in the AE elevation 14. The structure will be flood compliant. The garage floor will be at about 15.2, which will be a foot above floodplain. The first floor is proposed to be about 18.5. And even though it is going to be flood compliant, we're still going to install flood vents, even though we'll be above the floodplain. So in the future findings, in case the floodwaters rise, or in case the flood zone determination changes, it'll be still flood compliant. I think that's about it. The overall site, we are decreasing, we've already been through the zoning board, and from the overall site, from the removing the impervious driveway and the impervious surfaces from the site, we are decreasing the impervious over the existing lot by about 1,500 square feet.
I'll explain what, guys, so you're
Sure.
trying. The impervious.
I'm sorry, why don't you just say your name again?
I'm sorry, Leonard Getz, property owner. As Brendan has noted, the driveway to the east side of the house is asphalt. That's being removed. There's the footprint of the existing house that is impervious. The whole circumference of the house has a brick sidewalk on concrete that is made impervious surface around the ring of the house. And the back right-hand corner of the house, there's a deck over a concrete slab that had been a garage originally on the property. That deck is being removed and the concrete slab underneath it, and we're returning it to a lawn area. Which is how the impervious number is actually less than it is currently.
Even though the house is,
The house footprint is
Bigger.
larger.
Yeah.
I'm doing a tandem carport on the east side, the ocean side of the house, at elevation 15 underneath it, and that's being paved with impervious concrete pavers, as well as the approach to the carport itself.
Okay.
And then again, we're putting the cars at elevation 15 above the follow FEMA recommendation. So in the event, if I was there when it was flooded, vehicles would not be in the floodplain.
Frank, do you want to see the foundation?
The house is on a crawl space. We're putting the crawl space at elevation 14.2. So again, it would be dry, but there's no habitable space or any mechanicals that are down in the crawl space.
Okay. You're not going to put anything down there?
No, I'm just trying to put a rat slab down and keep it
Yeah.
dry and empty.
Are you all set?
Yes, I am.
Richard? Lisa?
No questions.
Jen?
No, I'm good for now.
Amy?
All right, so it doesn't appear that they're altering the elevation of the site, is that correct, Brendan?
Right.
So
Relatively staying the same.
Relatively, or it is staying the same?
It is staying the same. I mean, obviously with the grade away from the foundation.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're not planning on bringing in yards of fill or changing the grade by any dramatic means.
Okay, and I mean, also, I guess I would have a comment about the paver driveway and the lack of detail for showing the subsurface. If it's truly gonna be a pervious paver driveway, we probably wanna see the detail for that. Because otherwise, if they're not installed in accordance with the spec, then they don't actually drain.
Understood.
Right. We can get you a detail for that.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? So I might have missed this, I apologize. The existing house sits on what?
It sits on a masonry block foundation and a couple of wood piers. The home was originally built in 1912, as I've known it as referred to as a Gibson Girl era house. It was a summer cottage that has been renovated. There are 3 renovations listed in the building department over that period of time that have been happened to the house, 2 previous to my ownership and 1 under my ownership where I expanded a bathroom on the 2nd floor.
When I'm looking at this plan, it says there's a notation for proposed paver driveway, but I'm seeing like a set of steps and a porch. So,
Those are under the footprint of the house.
but so the steps and whatnot are gonna be removed? So I'm seeing like a set of, like,
Oh, that's existing. So the existing house comes out here, there's a covered, there's a porch out here with steps that come down to a brick walk. This is all existing what's there today.
so this is being removed?
Oh, yes, yep, that's all being removed, the whole house being removed, the deck. this is
And
all
then
being
what gets
removed.
replaced is this?
Right, the paver driveway is gonna be between here.
Between these lines?
Yep. And there's like a 1 bay garage is gonna be underneath.
Which is how this works.
Correct.
So then these are the new steps?
No,
That's
actually,
the rear of the house.
Actually, the other way
This is
around.
Bradford Ave.
yes.
So then what's this for?
There's a stair comes off the back deck that comes to a landing part here,
So
and that
Yeah.
elevates that
as I
stair
stated,
landing.
we're moving this shed and moving it up to this proposed deck, and they're going to be structurally connected. So I'm assuming these two piers here are to support the deck here.
If you want to see an architectural plan.
Yeah, that'd help.
Orient that to the same as the plan. Underneath the house is probably have the ability to put 3 cars tandemly underneath the house. This is all open air on these 2 sides. The entrance to the house is through the carport right up to the elevation 18.4. There's an entrance piece, the volume of the house. It's also set back on the back of the house where you would come up to the stair landing. That's the piece you were asking about on the plan.
Got it.
And that stair goes up to a deck off the kitchen on the 2nd floor that's covered. And then this is the existing shed that we're shifting over to this location so I could enter the shed from that same landing at the bottom of the stairs. The shed is elevated about 4 feet off the ground on piers.
The shed will be?
Yes, it's currently elevated and it will continue to be elevated.
Okay.
So the 2 foundation pieces you're seeing here are what support the framing on that landing of the stair.
Got it. Okay, so this is just being removed.
Yeah, and what I'm doing in the front end of pavement is so I don't always have to move a car to get the other one out. I'd be able to have a car side by side to be able to pull something in and out of the carport.
Okay. And there's siltation proposed for around the site. Okay. Got it.
Great.
Anybody else? Anybody in the audience? Okay,
I make a motion to close.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it?
Okay.
25 Rebecca Road. On September 30th, 2019, at 6:55 PM, the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of a single-family dwelling and landscape at location 25 Rebecca Road, Scituate. Of others and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Lots.
Good evening. Jeff DeLisi, I'm here with Brendan Sullivan of Cavanero Consulting. On behalf of the applicant, Mary Sullivan, this is yet another example of a property owner implementing improvements to remove a house outside of the floodplain consistent with FEMA's desires. Brendan can explain exactly what's happening here, and I'm happy to answer any questions on the back end.
So there is an existing dwelling on the site, number 25. It was pretty much blown off the foundations in some of the winter storms we had in 2018. So it's pretty much just sitting on the rock out there. That's all this. I'm sure people are familiar with the area. It's just a bunch of rubble out here. There's no vegetation. It's void of all sorts of vegetation. So we're getting rid of that house. We have a prefab house going up on piles. We have a rocky tidal shore. We have a floodplain. And we have a barrier beach which covers the entire, the entire neighborhood up there. Our flood zone, we have an AE15 that comes across the back of the lot, and there's a VE19 on the ocean side. We are making the entire new structure floodplain our top of pile, as per FEMA, will be 2 feet above, 2 feet above the velocity zone at elevation 21.2. The first floor will be about elevation 23. As Jeff said, it's going to be a timber pile foundation. Be a straightforward timber pile foundation with 3 vents of piers, and then also some piles on the ocean side for the proposed deck on the ocean side. I think really that's about it. We are pulling the house away from the rear property line. Right now it's about 6.3 feet away from the rear property line. We're pulling about 13.2.
Right now, the existing house is about 5 feet away from the structure of the house at 27 Rebecca Road, so a very nice benefit of this application is that we'll be moving the structure not only further away from the ocean, but also further away from this closest house at 27. There's some space. The property is actually 2 lots.
2 lots, yeah.
Which has been combined for purposes of this plan, but it's actually the residential addresses are 23 and 25 Rebecca Road. So net we think it's a positive.
Well, it's nice to have the 2 lots. You put
Yeah.
this house right in the middle.
Yeah.
And they'll have area all around it. Was there ever a structure on the other lot?
According to Mary, there was. It was that got
Yeah.
blown up to sea in the 78 storm.
78, that's
And
what
they never rebuilt.
right. Okay.
Hey, any other interesting?
No, that's it.
Richard? No, it's fine. Lisa?
Nothing.
Jen?
No?
Amy?
Not much, I mean, that's definitely the front line. Storms coming in. The foundation looks good. One thing I was looking for was the utility connection locations. Maybe I just missed it on the plan.
The typical, obviously the water and sewer lines will run up and down one of the piles as they come into the lot. It would be tied off, like I said, in one of the piles as it comes up. There is I believe the utility room is, I think it's more or less in the center, I believe.
But so you're not using the existing connection to the existing house? And
Well, we'll probably
coming
use the same stub, but then run it from the house, because if it's, if there's utilities come out the front, obviously we can have them come out and then we'll move towards the existing structure.
Yeah.
Or whatever DPW requires, if they might want a new tap, I'm not sure.
So we have a hearing before the zoning board in about 3 weeks. So understanding from your perspective, the location of the house is important for us prior to that meeting.
Is anybody in the audience, any questions? And the existing house is on what kind of foundation?
I don't think it's on any foundation, to tell you the truth. It's just, it got blown off the foundation, whatever was there, piers or something, in one of the storms in 2018. And it's just pretty much just sitting on the, on the rocks.
There's nothing underneath, like no.
Just sitting there. Was it last?
Okay.
Get blown away.
I don't see that we need anything else.
No, I don't think so.
So, do you think that there's a chance, Jeff, do we want to close this? You think there's a chance that if you don't get approval by ZBA, that you're gonna be back to us?
I would prefer if you closed it. I don't foresee an issue with ZBA from the standpoint that we, let me just make sure here, we would be complying with all setbacks as a result of the new plan. So I simply don't foresee an issue with zoning from the standpoint of setbacks.
Okay. What do you think? I mean,
If it does
I mean,
change,
it's their risk if
It's
it's.
your risk,
new
you'd
plan
have
and
to.
if it does
come
change,
back.
then we'll have to come back, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a new one,
okay.
okay?
Brian, do you have any butter cards?
Oh, yes.
I make a motion closed.
A second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we've done 667 Hatherley, 17 Mordecai Lincoln Septic. On September 30th, 2019, at the 6:15 PM meeting at Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Sue Logan for determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaws to upgrade a cesspool to a septic tank on property located at 17 Mordecai Lincoln Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Gregory Morse Engineering, representing the property owner Sue Logan. This is a septic system repair project at 17 Mordecai Lincoln Road. Mordecai Lincoln Road is at the bottom of the page here. The property line is in black. There's a blue wetland that was delineated by Brad Holmes, bordering vegetative wetland. Off of that in red is the 50, and in green is a 100-foot buffer. This plan I brought before the commission back in 2014, and it was approved. It was never constructed, though. All permits have expired at this point. It's the same plan. We are connecting to the existing plumbing at the back of the house, to a septic tank, and then a new leaching chamber bed. All of the work is outside of the 50-foot buffer zone. It's in an area of existing landscaping and lawn. It's not an increase in flow. It's a 3-bedroom house. It'll go back as a 3-bedroom septic system. Turn it over to you.
Penny?
Nope. It's good they're gonna finally do it, I hope.
Yeah, it's time.
Yes.
It's good then, should be good now.
Lisa?
Nothing.
Jen?
Nope.
Amy, anything on this one? Mordecai Lincoln?
No, it appears consistent with a negative finding.
Okay. Anybody in the audience?
I make the motion for -3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
1 Hollis Street Septic. On September 30th, 2019, at 6:15 meeting at Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of Greg Kraus for a determination of applicability to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaws to pump and fill an existing septic system, install a 1,500-gallon septic tank on property located at 1 Hollis Street, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good.
My name is Rob Carlson from Grady Consulting. This is the septic repair plan for 1 Hollis Street. So we have a lot with the existing dwelling on it. This is just off.
Should be Hollis Street.
The Squashkid Brook. There's an associated wetland along the brook. Basically, the reason we're here is an existing cesspool in between the 50-foot setback and the 100-foot wetland buffer. The plan is to install a 1,500-gallon septic tank, pump chamber that pumps up to a Presby leaching field. All of the proposed components are outside of the 100-foot wetland buffer. The only thing inside the 100-foot is the existing cesspool, which is to be pumped and filled. That's kind of it.
It's an old system. The Crafts moved to Scituate or built that house when we came here, back in the 50s. Yeah.
I
So,
thought you came in with the Pilgrims.
well, you know, we don't tell everyone that.
Frank, you are really cruising tonight.
I thought he was being nice tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll get him later, don't you worry. I get my.
Penny's going on vacation. She deserves a little. She's gonna miss a couple of this. So,
He's just being, he's jealous.
Lisa,
I have no questions.
Jen,
No.
Amy,
No, it's a positive, upgraded, appears consistent.
they
with
couldn't have put it any further in the
Yeah.
corner if they tried.
I know,
No
they're
way.
in the upper yard almost. It's got a nice big
Triangle
yard.
shape, that's funny.
Yeah,
Anybody in the audience?
way away from the marsh, so that's good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I make a motion for. a
You have your
negative-
green cards.
It's an
Oh,
RDA.
Oh, it's an RDA too.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Scared him.
don't scare him.
They were,
Pending.
it's pending, they
Yeah.
reviewed
Oh.
it, we had a couple of minor tweaks, so
Yeah.
it's kind of nitpicky, but it should be approved soon.
Okay.
So we're gonna go with the negative?
Yeah,
Okay, I make a motion for a -3.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye,
Thank you.
very good.
134 Judge Cushing Road, trees and shrubs. On September 30th, during the 6:15 meeting at Town Hall, Scituate Conservation will
On this one.
act on the request of Leonard, how do you spell, say your last name, Leonard?
Condensio.
Cadenzio. For a determination of applicability of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands bylaws to fertilize, prune, and remove shrubs and trees on property located at 134 Judge Cushing Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Thanks.
Great.
And I assume who you are.
That's who I am, yeah.
So want to just give us a little lowdown on what your thoughts are?
I didn't come prepared with the board or whatever.
That's
but,
all right.
Assuming you have these plans, it's a beautiful property,
No,
well within
didn't get that
50
one.
feet and 100 feet of the wetland.
We'll give it to Frank.
Don't know if you presented that. And up close to the house where you see the flood zone and town of Scituate, there was some planting when the house was built, landscape planting there. Some of the trees are dead, some are dying. And then outside of that line, there are some large pine trees that are dead or dying. And then there's a lot of briarwood that's growing up the trees, choking the trees and all of that. So I just want to make the ground pretty again, and I took some pictures of you know, some of the dead trees that are just laying there or standing up, as well as tall trees that are dying and choking out other trees. And then this one that's close to the house, and you know how that works when you're traveling and a storm comes through and that tree's on your house. So all I want to do is clean up the property of the dead stuff and let other things grow more healthy. And then possibly come back later after we see how things are going, and come back later and do some planting where those trees are with the arborvitae or whatever, staying out of the wetlands.
Staying out of the wetlands.
So on this site plan we're talking about up here, in this zone, everything else is beautiful except for the briarwood that's growing and choking out the other grass that should be growing naturally. So I've brought in Bartlett Tree Company, which is a professional company and well regarded, to advise on how best to clean up the property. And in the application, I don't know if they got that, in the application is Bartlett spelling out what they would do on the property as they go around.
What's this? Excuse me, sir. What's this? Is
That view is...
it almost looks like a river behind.
that view is this marsh over here,
Yeah,
and what you see is the dead trees.
So Penny, if you went past PJ's,
yeah,
right, and looked into the marsh, remember we had that, there was a
Very low
spill?
marshland in there.
There's
Yes.
a little bit of marsh, and then, so
Yes.
this house you access off of Judge Cushing Way, so you go behind PJ's.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
And then down, and then there's like a little causeway that goes over here, over to Neilgate Street.
Right,
And
I
there's a
know
dike-
exactly where you're talking.
There's a dike down in
Yeah,
here.
yeah, right.
The end of that
I've
road.
gone
There's
over
a small
that dike.
cemetery down there.
Right,
Exactly, the Hatch Cemetery is
Yep.
that square that's up here, and that causeway is the dike that separates the freshwater marsh from the saltwater marsh.
Right,
So we're back here. and
got it.
there's
And then
3A.
3A's out there.
yeah. I just have,
This is Dana Richards' old house.
oh, all right, I know exactly what you're talking about now. I just, I understand you want to clean up, but sometimes like this fallen tree there is so close to the marsh that some critter might really enjoy it. It's like a catch-22 because I don't know exactly what he's clearing. But if he's out of the buffer zone, I don't
Well, I think
really-
it's all in the buffer.
Oh, I thought he said it was out.
Well,
Almost all of it's in the buffer zone except for
Oh, I
that
misheard.
spot where the house is raised.
right.
Okay. See, that's all, as you get closer to the marsh, I kind of feel as though it should stay natural with whatever Mother Nature's done. But that's just me.
Richard?
I guess my only question would be, have you considered combining this so you don't have to come back? So you take this out and you actually have a planting plan ready to go? I mean, if this were to work, you've got 2 or 3 years to get this done before anything would.
I brought up the planting plan because that's, if it's necessary, I'd rather not plant anything. I'd rather just pull out the dead stuff and let the pine trees that are trying to grow, pull out the dead trees so the oak tree can grow naturally around it. The only reason why I bring up coming back later and planting is if towards the back of the house, taking out those dead trees have thinned it out so much that the traffic noise and all increases, which I'm hard of hearing. It doesn't bother me anyway. So. But or if the lights are coming through or whatever. I don't know what I'm exposing by taking out the dead trees.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's pretty clear. So I just wanted to have the option of doing that. If that is something that I need to come back and apply for, I'd rather clear out.
I was actually
now.
trying to make it easier for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to get a guesstimate of how much material or trees that you're going to remove, because I kind of agree with Penny in the sense that only with a different angle of as plants decay naturally, it does feed the soil from the decay. So to remove it is taking away the natural plants that were there.
Especially when you get real close to the marsh, that's more what I was looking at. I can understand the trees near the house. Yeah, I'd want them down too. They're not real healthy.
So if the question, the tree that's laying in the marsh, across from that picture that I took, there's plenty more laying around in the marsh.
No,
That one, I can see the picturesque beauty of that, if you will. But the one that I'm showing that's standing upright, dead, in another tree, that should come down.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree.
I don't know if there's a way to walk the site with anyone and pick out yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
Actually.
I could do that.
I'm willing.
Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand Penny and Lisa's sentiments, and obviously your concerns as well. If there was an opportunity for somebody to walk and just have a better idea of which ones are coming and going with some flagging tape or something.
Yeah, right.
Because I totally understand what you're suggesting and wouldn't want you to put yourself in harm's way from some dead trees.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But nature does have its own beauty, too.
She does.
Yeah, we don't want to get it too clean.
Too clean, I get it. There's one tree there that I wanted to point out. It's alive, but it's got a lot of big dead things
No,
going
I saw it.
It's
It's
just
pretty ugly.
clean that up a little bit and let us celebrate the beauty that you're
Yeah.
talking about without any worrying about what's going to
Yeah.
decay and fall on, my grandnieces and nephews playing over there and stuff like that. So
Oh, I hear you.
I appreciate, we love the property because of its natural
Yeah,
setting.
that's a
Sort of
gorgeous piece of
appreciate
property, yeah.
that, but to make it safe and clean.
Sure.
I really
Oh.
would like to just walk through and flag,
Yeah.
tag, yes, no, with
Yeah.
somebody.
Amy, you want to add to that?
I think this is consistent with the -3, and I appreciate your comments about leaving habitat and, not cleaning it up too much. I'd be happy to walk the property for sure, give you some guidance if you'd like. But I don't know, I think it's pretty clear to me what your intent is as far as removal of the dead and diseased trees. In fact, oftentimes on these types of projects, we might issue a minor activities permit if it's just of limited nature, but I did suggest the determination filing on this one because it was a little bit more, so.
Yeah.
Like, would you have to use a machine to remove the
Probably
trees?
Use a crane or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to want to use a crane or something to
Take them
take out some of these
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah, the real big one in the back of the house, sure. They've got to get up there and cut it down in pieces.
Yeah.
But it's a unique property in that there certainly is a lot of buffer
Right.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's
surrounded pretty much.
beautiful, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else to speak to this? So I have a couple of thoughts. I appreciate your concern. I mean, we're seeing this happen a lot. Trees are maturing. Penny almost got picked off by one.
Yes, a couple of
So,
years ago,
Yeah.
in my car.
So, as these trees mature out, there's a certain lifespan to all of them, and certainly getting them down before they do harm to your property or something else is a good idea. And we wouldn't want to impede that. And I think probably having the opportunity to walk through and just say, I think you get what the commission's saying.
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
natural piece that happens here. This is a fairly sensitive area. I think it's sort of from the commission standpoint, it's more of a habitat piece. So we know that some of these have to go, and what we'd ideally like to see is other things take their place, so that at the end of the day, there's either no loss or maybe some gain in terms of habitat. And there's other plantings that you can do on your property that are helpful, either to small birds, certain wildlife. There's things if you start to, and I get the sense that you're tuned to that. And that in fact you could do some plantings that would help you in buffering your home from the road noise and the lights of 3A that could be beneficial in that regard, and at the same time remove some of these pieces. So I wouldn't want to keep you from removing the unsafe trees, but I think it would be good to give some thought to how you want to accentuate those other pieces, and maybe it's wind up being another RDA or minor activities where you're working in the buffer, and you could just come back at some point when you've had a chance to really soak up what you're doing there and say, geez, I see this and I want to plant X, Y, and Z around here. I've got some invasives that I'd like to continue to remove. And the commission would much rather have a responsible person like yourself come in here and do this than be chasing somebody that's done a bunch of work without any permission at all. So I think the other thing, though, it might not hurt is, I don't have a problem with a negative on this, but my guess is that there's probably a pretty comprehensive set of orders for this property. In order for this property to have been built on fairly recently, there's probably already a set of orders and conditions that the Richards got when they built this. So there may be some underlying pieces in those orders, and those go with the property. They get recorded on your deed. So if there's something in those orders, we just may want to take a look and be sure that we're consistent with what the prior commissions requested at that time.
I did a little research, so there was something that came with the original landscaping and putting in the driveway.
Yeah, I remember, do you remember that, I think the owner was in with us asking if he could do some work along the edge of the driveway?
Oh, yeah,
And,
yeah.
By putting in the curb, I had that plan, and also taking the gravel driveway and making it a blacktop
Yep,
driveway.
yep.
Yeah.
Putting in that shed.
yep. No, I think they've,
Whole proposal.
yeah, no, they've done pretty much all that, but when the property was originally allowed to be built on, there's probably an initial set of orders.
Okay.
And it might be good just to take a look at those, and I don't really see any big issue. I think you're wise to do some of the things you're talking about, and you understand what the commission's
Right.
trying to hold on to, and it looks like we both have similar goals, so.
Yeah.
I'd just look at those pieces, all right? Okay,
And I'll take a walk with you, Amy. I make a motion for a -3. I'd love to go out.
negative's good.
Negative's good, okay.
Negative.
Yeah, you want a negative, you don't want the
I
positive.
see that pause every time.
I know.
So,
Positive determination would mean that we'd want you to come back with more things, so a negative, you're good.
Great, so.
And we appreciate your working in this direction as well.
Great. So do I call you and say?
We'll have paperwork ready for you tomorrow afternoon, which is like the official go ahead and call the tree company. And then let's set up a time to go out there.
Yeah.
My
Great.
schedule's pretty busy, but let's try to do it while the weather's still nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Amy, the only thing I'd suggest is if you're gonna give him that piece, but if you can, or Jen can, find his set of orders.
It would be
There
downstairs.
should be a certificate of compliance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be good for you to know what those are. Okay?
Just to be on the
We can
safe
pull that out,
side.
too.
Great. Okay, good luck.
Thank you, good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, this is it.
What do we got, 399 First Parish, National Grid?
Last but not least.
Sorry about that.
Well,
We'd known you here for that one.
It's okay.
On September 30th, 2019, at 6:15 PM, the Town Hall Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of National
You
Grid
can look at
for
the book.
determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Scituate Wetlands bylaws, to replace one utility pole on property at 399 First Parish Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Amanda Holt, High and Bond. I'm here this evening on behalf of National Grid, doing business as Mass Electric. You pretty much summed up the project right there. We're replacing, this is the substation right here. First Parish Road is right here. There's an existing chain link fence that encloses the substation. We've got an area of BBW, and we flagged the most proximal piece to the project area just this past, it was in early September that we had flagged it. And so the yellow line here is the 50-foot no disturb, and then the green line here is the 100-foot buffer zone. This white circle here is the pole that's being replaced. That's an existing utility pole. And then we're actually also proposing to install a new utility pole between the existing one and the substation, just to give it a little more clearance, just to pick the wires up a little bit more to allow it to pop into the substation right there. And these are just your typical, just like 18-inch wood poles, not, the bigger ones that you see on some of the transmission right-of-ways. So those are usually just direct in beds. They'll auger in and put it right in there. There's not a lot of excavation, but we are assuming about a 50 by 50 foot work area. It's pretty overgrown in here, as you can see in some of the photos and the filing. So there will be a little bit of vegetation removal, but this area is subject to routine vegetation maintenance on a recurring schedule. So I don't know if the commission is looking for anything within the buffer zone. Typically, we only mat if it's in a wetland. So there might be a little bit of grading, and then if they need, it's pretty level, so I just think they're just going to need to remove some vegetation and go in there, and then if you want anything reseeded or to allow everything just to come back naturally. We're fine with that too.
Are you gonna clear the whole 50/50?
This is worst case scenario. Sometimes those guys can just get in there and use less room than they need.
Yeah.
But we don't want to overpromise, so we say 50 by 50.
Okay.
And it depends on the time of year, but as it's, we're nearing the winter and the leaves are coming down and they might be able to get in there a little bit better and see a little bit better. But worst case scenario is 50 by 50.
All right.
Do they have a picture in there of what it is now?
I think so.
Photo, Appendix C. Some photos.
That's all they gave.
Yeah, photograph number 3 is a pretty representative. You can see there's a little blue star, so that's where the new pole's going, and then you can see sort of an older, large wood pole,
Yeah.
That all invasive?
and that's going to be the replacement.
Goldenrod to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of goldenrod, Joe Pye weed. There's a bunch of terracon in there that we found, and which we didn't. There is a good chunk of multiflora rose and raspberry, and just a trifecta of thorns out there. But there is a mix of natives, but it's probably 50-50 what you're seeing out there as far as invasive. Some younger buckthorn and everything. It looks short in the pictures just because it is subject to veg maintenance, but there are some, shorter invasive shrubs and stuff in there that you just can't quite discern in the photos. Greenbrier, some bittersweet, everything you'd expect. But yeah, there in the foreground there we do have some Joe Pye weed, and then the goldenrod really pops out.
Most of that stuff will just come right back on its own.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like the invasive not to.
Yeah. No, it's coming.
They love thorns for some reason. So.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, I make a motion.
Anybody else?
Oops.
No, good.
I make a motion for number 3. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all
you.
so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for being patient. Not too bad, it's only 10 days.
It's karma for the times I've been first. I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Imagine all that to replace the telephone pole.
A little bit crazy. Well, technically, they're adding another one.
Yeah.
Technically.
Sometimes they're those big
Yeah.
concrete
Yeah.
bases.
All right,
No.
so, let's see,
Yeah.
we've done our RDAs,
Yeah.
NOIs.
I think we have orders here.
One set of orders.
One set of orders. I make a motion to accept the orders for 160 Indian Trail as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What was 160 Indian Trail?
That was the Phragmites.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And then we get a couple of certificates of compliance.
You don't need to vote on those.
No.
But you're good with those, Amy? And you're adding 167 Jericho?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Looks good. That's it, I think, for official.
No, we've got agents report.
Well,
Anything you want to update us on?
that's unofficial.
Well, we've had a lot of complaints come
About
in
what?
the office.
Is that new?
No, it's the regular flow of
Complainers.
complaints. And, no, well, complainers, but, so, the Dunbar
Oh, yeah.
popped up again on the shed. We had,
Which one's Dunbar?
Yeah, that's
It's a
like a
little
bad.
short road
it
off
just
of
keeps
First
coming
Parish.
back.
right, so we've sent them another letter.
Oh.
We had, 10 Meadow, we've had police involved. We've had Gannett Road, we've had,
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Gannett, yeah, Salt Meadow. There's some dumping that needs to be investigated down there. So it's very active time. And we've got our 40Bs all want to be constructed right now. So we've got Herring Brook is chomping at the bit, and so is Stockbridge Landing. Both of those would like to start up, actually pre-construction and start out there before the winter.
Oh, wow.
So,
Both of them?
both, yes.
And you guys have seen the,
Has it
The
been
amount of-
cleaned up?
Phase 2.
yeah, a lot of clearing in phase 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go out there.
I've been out there.
Whoa. And those townhouses or whatever, they are huge. They're so big.
Yeah, we're still resolving a drainage issue on Hatherley Road.
But I will,
Have a meeting out there on Wednesday to try to see if we can find a discharge location that doesn't impact the buffer.
where they did the replication, that's looking pretty good. It was looking
is
a
it?
little poopy
Yeah.
when it was hot out and so dry, but I was,
I hope they're keeping water on it, because it's
I,
dry.
It's
Been dry this
Dry.
month. Yeah. it's been
It,
dry
it
this
was very dry. Couple weeks ago, I was concerned that it was gonna just, but it looked good this weekend when I drove by.
month. And it may make up a little bit later this week, which should
Yeah,
get a
and
good
well,
amount
let's
of rain.
face it, that is a wetter
Yeah,
area.
It is.
But, yeah, no, but it looks, that they did a nice job, the amount of plantings, and let's hope they all make them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a
Busy.
couple of things. I've had correspondence with Maxwell Trust and their attorney, and I'm hoping that by next week, they'll have that
Thumbs
title
up.
insurance business
Yeah.
resolved, so that hopefully we can pass on that remaining piece of property fairly soon. So
That would be wonderful to go on to the CR.
cross our fingers on that one. And then
Getting close.
Penny and I have been with the town administrator, we're working out the wrinkles on the turtle sweep so we can move forward with the Crosby piece, and I think we're there, or close to there.
We're very close. Very
The plan
close.
is to do the turtle fencing and sweep outside the contract with the contractor to build the road, so that that can get completed this month during the slot that it's allowed, and then put the project out to bid.
Paul was meeting with Jeff today to go over dates for that bid package.
Yep.
And also Jeff had given Paul some homework, and Jeff had some homework to start putting the final notes on that bid package, so
Okay.
it should be ready very soon to go back out.
Great.
It would be wonderful.
And then I got unfortunately got a text from Paul that he is not going to be able to continue to serve on the Conservation Commission.
We knew that was coming.
That he's sold
Well,
his
we knew it
house
was-
and in the process of moving, which is too bad. Paul's been serving on the commission for quite a while and
Yep.
been very helpful. So we'll be looking for someone to replace Paul Paris, and appreciate his time
Mhm.
that was spent on the commission.
I have a couple of other things that I can mention, is the Harbor Resiliency Committee I'm on. It's really kind of interesting. We might be putting up the Great Wall of China in the harbor to protect it under the water. I mean, they're coming up with all kinds of ideas of how to protect the harbor proper from storms and stuff in the future and sea level rise. So that's actually, their work groups have been really good. It's been very interesting. Well, you went to one meeting, yeah. And there was like a workshop, and then we had one last week. And I've also, the master plan, that's been very interesting too. And they both, I have a meeting at the end of October with both of those, some workshops, more community orientated, and not just the team that they put together to work on it. So to my surprise, they're both very interesting, and I am enjoying them.
Good.
So,
Appreciate you doing that.
Good.
yeah, well, it's more fascinating than I thought it was going to be.
That's always a nice surprise.
Well, it is, because I don't have much to do with the harbor and stuff, but it's some of the ideas, it's very interesting what, the thoughts are.
Good.
To protect it, so
Yeah.
we'll see. And it isn't retreat. We're not going for retreat right away. We're
Well,
looking at
Except it
all
works.
kinds of things, you know, so, yes.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. We are done.
Oh, what about these two COCs?
She said she was all set.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks.